So now I'm going to turn things over to really our primary subject matter expert today, Dustin Milberg. And Dustin comes from a background of over 27 years experience in executive and technical leadership for engineering, IT, and delivery consulting teams. Dustin shares that his passion is helping organizations recognize measurable market leadership and exceed strategic goals through innovation, strategy, and thought leadership. As a highly professional, innovative, and energetic senior leader of people, ideas, and organizations, Dustin has a proven record of success. And really, for me, the reason why I'm so excited to have Dustin join us is if you choose to work with InterVision, if you choose to take that next step and have a conversation about your cloud journey with us, you'll be talking to Dustin at some point in that conversation. He really is on the field interacting with our clients day in and day out. And I think that gives him the perspective to really have a great conversation here today. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Dustin. Dustin, unfortunately, we're about 10 to 15 minutes behind. If you can compress as much as possible, I'd certainly appreciate it. Don't want you to rush, just recognizing that we're a little bit behind.
No worries. You know me. I can dance on the head of a pin, so I'm happy to do it. You're gonna turn control over to me now?
That's right. Yes. Give me just a second.
And for those of you who are looking at the picture of me on the slide and looking at me now, you see I've got my COVID hair. So I'm very excited to, at some point, my son and I are having a grow off to determine, who's going to have the longer hair after the pandemic is over. Okay, hopefully, I think which screen are we seeing here?
You've got your presenter notes up.
Okay, well then I will just swap those and we'll be good to go. There we go.
Excellent.
All right.
Yep.
Well, so thank you so much. Yeah, been doing this a long time and worked with several companies to help re-architect their solutions for adoption of the cloud. But as I listened to Cecilia, I was thinking, gosh, has she and I worked for the same company multiple times before? I mean, it's just really interesting how similar many of the journeys are that our customers are going through. And so one of the things that really struck me is that cloud makes it really easy to consume resources, but it's hard to consume them in an optimal way and in a secure way that scales and that also meets your budget and all those other needs. And it reminds me, I've got this sign down in my basement, and I love it because it kind of, for me, summarizes what the cloud's really about, right? Golf, an easy game that's just hard to play. Cloud makes it really easy to consume, but getting that security right, getting that cost modeling right, getting people rallied around it is hard. And I really want to hit on and reemphasize some of those key points that Cecilia made earlier. For us, the journey to the cloud, and we talk about this journey, and matter of fact, any of you who follow me on LinkedIn, if you don't, please go ahead and link in with me. I wrote an article a couple of years back that was entitled "The Journey to the Cloud is More Important Than the Arrival." And what we really meant by that is by going through those motions and preparing yourself for your cloud journey, you may pick up new skills and expertise along the way to help optimize your environment to be able to run wherever you want, whenever you want. More than likely, you're going to end up with a significant portion of that in the cloud because the consumption model makes it very easy for you and your organization to adopt that change. But having a well thought out plan and approach in advance is really critical. So we're going to focus initially here on kind of this readiness phase of getting to the cloud. What is the analysis you need to do, and what's some of that foundational planning that is critical for you and your organization as you look to adopt the cloud? So some of the key things to focus on, Cecilia could not have teed this up any better. Chris, I'm almost wondering if you set her up for this, but I start with people first. And again, another plug for our Status Go podcast. Jeff Ton does a great job with those. We're doing a 3-part series on the journey to the cloud. And the first one that I did is about cloud first means people first. So really, culture cannot be underemphasized as you look to transform your organization for cloud adoption. One of the things you really do have to think about, and Cecilia hinted at this a little bit, right? If you're a traditional infrastructure organization or a traditional IT shop, and now you're making this migration to this cloud, what's going through the head of somebody who's been racking and stacking gear for the last 20 years for your organization? And you say, well, now we're going to the cloud. The first thought that's probably going through that person's head is, where's my job going? And will I have a job when we get to the cloud? Right? So the WIFM, the what's in it for me, helping those individuals understand not only is their job not going away, but now they have an opportunity to up level their job, learn new skills, and adopt a cloud mindset to still be able to deliver the same kinds of services just in a different location. So this is a great opportunity for organizations to really help up level their teams. And if you up level the teams, we all know innovation goes up, productivity goes up. Those ratings about great places to work, those are what really matter. Do employees have the opportunities they need and want in order to grow their careers and feel like they contribute to the value of an organization? But culture change can't just be a top-down or a bottom-up approach. You cannot say, yea, verily, ye must go and adopt the culture that I want. Instead, we have to look at what are the behaviors, what are the things that we're going to do to measure those behaviors, and how do we want them to manifest themselves, and how will we keep track of that? And as a result, the culture you have identified will emerge out of that. So I can't emphasize this enough. It was great that Cecilia hit on it. The second step that I think about relative to the cloud adoption is really being objective. And what we mean by that is really and this is one of the hardest ones for organizations to go through. Nobody wants to admit that their baby's ugly, right? So how do we really take a look at where we are today, where do we want to be, and what's in between? Chris used my sports and fitness analogy at the top of the presentation. And sometimes in order to reach your fitness goals, you hire a personal trainer, right? They help you see, well, gosh, maybe you should change your diet up a little bit, or maybe you're doing too much of this kind of exercise, which is great if you want to be this kind of an athlete, but the athlete that you said you want to be, or the fitness level you want to achieve, is over here. So let me give you some objective guidance. So finding that objective partner to help you look at honestly where you are today, and then help you take your goals and objectives of where you want to be tomorrow, and build that really independent and objective gap analysis, that roadmap to help you get successful. And then my third key point that I want to drill in on is have some metrics, keep score. Don't get too many metrics, right? I mean, it's great to understand those metrics over time, but I always recommend organizations start with very few, 1, 2, or 3 max. And because as you answer those questions, they're going to force you to ask and answer some new questions. And ultimately, you'll be able to hone in on where the thing is that ultimately move the needle for you and your organization. If you ask too many questions, right, you're not going to know what actually helped you recognize success if you make a change. The second thing I recommend in this is publish your score. And the more that people can see it and the transparency that goes into it, the more that everybody will start to get on board and join with that cultural shift of wanting to be part of that success. And the third thing to remember in this area is failure is relative, not absolute. It's okay. Those organizations that have adopted an agile mindset know that it's okay to fail fast because you're going to recover fast. And just because you have an independent, isolated failure in one area does not mean that you're going to fail the whole thing. Matter of fact, you're probably going to be better from it because you're going to learn a lot from your successes and failures that are ultimately going to drive your organization to meet more of its goals. And the fourth key thing is be humble enough to take the opportunity to adjust course as it happens, right? The journey is more important than the arrival. We talked about that. As you go through it, where you end up and how you end up might change. You may think, gosh, I've got to get this whole cadre of applications moved out of my data center because I've got some compelling event, right? My infrastructure is out of, end of life, or, I don't want to re-up this licensing. But maybe there's an opportunity to consolidate some applications or retire some infrastructure and applications that you just don't need anymore. Maybe some of them may still live on premise and some will go to the cloud. Maybe there's a hybrid approach for some of them as well. So really be willing and able to adjust courses it's called for, but also think about what is the data you use to inform. Keep those metrics back that we went through in the slide before to a scale that meets what your organization is trying to accomplish, and then adjust those metrics. If the metrics that you're measuring don't make sense, change them, toss them out, and come up with new ones that align with your business goals. As we meet with customers, and any of you who have been on a call, you've probably seen me present this before, where a lot of organizations go wrong, and Cecilia hit on this in her presentation too, is you can't just get to the cloud and then go figure out how to operate in it, and then figure out how to secure it, and then figure out how to manage costs. And she talked about, slowing down We use the term a lot, slow down to speed up. There's going to be more upfront heavy lifting, right? This methodology that many organizations adopt, and there's varying degrees of success and failure, more on the latter, I would argue. But this is an uphill battle. Instead, as Cecilia mentioned, starting with what your goals are and understanding what your inputs are, where you're at skill gap, where you're at culture gap, where you're at budget gap, where where are you today and where do you need to be, and then figuring out a plan to close that gap and making sure you understand how you're going to measure success. Is security top of mind? Is cost top of mind? Is customer experience top of mind? Do you have other factors that are top of mind? And then building for that, then we can do the heavy lifting up front. And as a result, organizations tend to work downhill, which makes it a much more palatable solution. Typically, we don't see organizations reverse course when they start this way, which is also a costly and risky proposition for organizations. And more, even most importantly, is you have a culture of success now. If you do this and you recognize success, your whole organization rallies behind it and wants to support what you and your organization have done. They want to be part of that team that is building something great. So, and also it enables your workloads to run wherever you want at any point in time. So at InterVision, where we're really helping organizations focus in on driving success is how do you understand your total cost of ownership? A number of times I've talked with different technical leaders and they say, hey, my CIO or my CFO read in a magazine about all the great cost savings that the cloud has to offer. And that's true. The cloud does have some great cost savings to offer if done correctly. It can also be very expensive if done incorrectly. So let's look at that and how we can help you determine what the right cost model is for you. We have a migration readiness assessment that is predicated on AWS's pillars of success. We help organizations go through this all the time. It's a free service that we offer to you, and it really gives you a great roadmap for helping you plan out what's the right approach to migrating services to the cloud. Also, we have some great cloud adoption workshops and immersion days that partner up with what AWS offers in that area. Great learning opportunities for you and your staff. Again, these are free services for your organization to be able to take advantage of great experience of others who have taken this journey before you. As well as our ongoing proven success services like backup as a service and disaster recovery as a service. So we're going to ask you a quick polling question here. I think Chris is probably bringing it up in the chat, I'm assuming, Chris?
Jennifer's going to drive that, but yeah,
Perfect.
we'll go ahead and get that
All right.
going.
So we'd love to hear from you. What's driving your cloud first strategy? Is it scalability? Is it security? Is it business agility? Is it cost savings? These are kind of the four main ones that we see, and Jamie touched on these as he gave his presentation earlier today. But these are the four main things that we see. So based on your organization and your goals, what's driving your cloud adoption strategy, your cloud first strategy? We'd love to hear from you.